Cybersecurity is massive, right? You get your penetration testers, you got your blue team, your red team, your purple team. They're all responsible for different things, right? Some are responsible for attacking their systems to see if they can break in. Some of them are designed for defending against those, and some of them kind of a mix of both. And then what happens if there's a breach? Well, you got a whole other team that handles those guys, right? Your incident handling and things like that. Your regulatory affairs. If you're a public company, you've got all kinds of regulations that you have to actually follow. So you have to actually write your reports, and you have to submit them through, quarterly or semi-annually or even annually for different filings as part of your filings for your corporation. So we, as the Maricopa Community College District, don't fall into those realms. We have we have to adhere to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, which regulates financial institutions. Well, we're not a bank or a financial institution, but we do take federal financial aid. So guess what? We get lumped into it. So we have to follow those. But there's no requirement for us to prove it, right?
Apparently not, yeah.
Because
Don't we get audited?
well, the audits are internal.
Okay.
So we hire a company to do our own internal audits, and we say this is where we're deficient, things like that, which is great. But what happens when we're not? If we're not compliant, where do we go? I haven't seen that yet. All right. So, right? Okay. Cybersecurity is going to impact everybody. It's not just, the folks that are protecting our websites or folks protecting our banks and things like that. Because they'll use scams for the individual people. They'll go after your phone so they can get to your payment types, so they can use your phone to get access to your bank account. It's almost always about money, almost, right? There's other things. You have the different types of hackers that are, they're sponsored by their governments, right? And it's some kind of, we're going to go after them, and Russia's probably going after Ukraine, et cetera, things like that. North Korea goes after everybody. Mm-hmm. So there's those types of attackers, but for the most part, what's going to impact us, and we're going to focus mostly on privacy. They're going to try to steal information, steal our identity, or steal our money, right? They want something from us, and there's different techniques and tactics that they're going to use to get those, right? Let's see, and it's not just that. I mean, you could be doing everything right and still be compromised. You do business with Entrust, for example, right? Or anybody, right? You're using one of the credit reporting companies, Equifax. Equifax got breached, right? So all your stuff was compromised. If you were a public sector, working for the Department of Defense, they got compromised. So you could be doing everything right and still be at risk. So those things, there's not much we can do about it if they go after our bank or things like that. But we'll talk about the things that we can do that we can help reduce our exposure to threats. All right. So social engineering, phishing attempts, things like that. Right? You know what phishing is? It's like they basically send you an email, and they're hoping that they trick you into clicking a link. That link will probably take you to a site that's not what you're looking for, right? It might look like, the Google login page. It might look like Azure or Microsoft 365 or something, but it won't be. They're just taking your username and their password, and they're just cataloging it and putting it away sometime. And then, you're like, oh, okay, I'm done, right? Moving on. Until all of a sudden, months later, things like that have, your bank account's empty. You're like, what happened? Right? We'll talk about, some of the things there. But the big thing is like email, right? There's attachments in email. Don't click on attachments in email. Text alerts. Man, don't click on attachments in your text alerts. The social engineering tactic, they're gonna say, hey, you have to do this in the next 30 minutes, right? Or something bad's gonna happen. Almost every time you see this, there's gonna be a sense of urgency that they're trying to build into it. And that's to tie into our fear of missing out, our fear of loss, right? They know that people are wired that way naturally, so they're gonna exploit that. And they're gonna make us do foolish things because we didn't have enough time to prepare for it. We didn't think about it. So, and I guarantee you, unless something is really, really, really dramatic, right, it's probably okay to wait a little bit, you know? You don't have to do something in the next 30 minutes, right? This isn't the life and death change your password thing. People aren't going to die. But there are some times where they are legitimate and you do have to act quickly. But it won't just come from an email. There'll be some other forms. They'll leverage, you know, news media and things like that. Hey, if you're a member of Equifax, right? Yeah, they just got breached. So you might think about, you know, changing passwords, stuff like that. All right. One of the big things that's new right now, and everybody's still trying to catch up, is the leveraging of AI. Artificial intelligence is very, very, very quick. It has access to more data than we could absorb in our lifetimes. And it's being tuned in ways that it can react very quickly to, let's say, there was an attack, right? And there was a CEO of a local chip manufacturer, right? And they actually caught an event at their child's school. And they actually generated quickly on the fly an email that was responding to that event. The school was in lockdown and it was information. Oh, please click here for up-to-date information, right? It was 18 months before they realized that that's how they got in. For 18 months, the attacker had access to content on his machine. And you know, so even if you click it, you don't even realize. You know, it could be months before you realize what happened.
Right.
So, anyways.
I have one the other day. Wow.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about what credential stuffing and password theft. Let's say they do trick you into going to a site and you change your password. Well, you didn't really change your password, but they know your password type, and if you ever use that password again, they'll try for months and months and months. They'll take whatever that password is that you typed into the thing, and they'll start shoving it to everything, right? They'll go to Google, they'll go to your Gmail, they'll go to Azure, they'll go to the banks, they'll go to Wells Fargo, Bank of America. And the more they know about you, the worse it gets, right? But they'll use your emails and things like that and do that. So don't use the same password. Ever. Like ever.
Then you can't keep track of it.
Well, you can.
Yep.
I'll give you a quick little thing. For changing your password, right? I never use the same password ever because I salt it. I put something in front of it. I put something after it. And I have different core passwords that I use for things, right? This is my ultra private password that I use for just financial stuff, tax, whatever. And that's it, right? I'll use a different password that I use for our network stuff. I'll use a different password that I use for remote access stuff, right? I'll use a different password that I use for stuff I don't care about, right? My random gaming website that I have to log into because I don't care, right? It's their problem. They're not gonna attack me with it. But I'll salt it. It'll be something unique about that website or that service that I'll put in front end or in after a password or in the middle, right? So I'll change it. So I can still use like roughly the same password, but make it unique enough by adding 1 or 2 digits in the front, 1 and 2 digits at the end. Now your password hash is longer, and they can't reuse it.
But how do you remember all that though? I used a 1 and a 1 on this website, and I used a 1 and a 2 in this. You have I don't write everything down. I'm bad.
Well, it doesn't have to be a 1 to 1. I mean, if it's like say like Verizon Wireless, you can just say BZW, right?
Okay.
Or just make it backwards, or use an uppercase and a lowercase, or anything that's something specific to it, but something, a pattern that you create yourself, and then you change them accordingly.
Yeah. Okay.
But the best thing is, don't do anything like that. Generate random long passwords, and then put it in a password vault, like Passware or KeePass or something else, and then have a long password that you just use for that. Whatever you use for your password vault, don't reuse anywhere else. Because more than likely they'll get your password vault from a keylogger, and then they'll have that, and if you use that anywhere else, they capture it that way too.
Yeah.
But it's best to have, protect your passwords using methods like password keepers. The district provides us with Passware. I keep getting a thing about change my password. I've never logged into it, but
Yeah.
I think we get it as employees. I think we have password for free.
I've never seen it, but
Also, if you use a password manager, you can go the extra mile and have it generate a username. So your username can be total garbage too for your bank site or.
If they allow you to choose your username, a lot of times usernames are based on email addresses, which I'm not a real fan of. But I run my own domain, so I keep generic. I create separate passwords that are separate email addresses for different things. That if I don't trust it, then I can just turn off the email address and it's gone. All right. So malware and ransomware were all pretty much for, we used to call them all viruses. Everything was a virus. Then they kind of classified as, well, that was a Trojan virus, and this is, whatever virus, and this is spyware, and this is malware, and this is ransomware. We've got all kinds of things. Ransomware is kind of on its own because it's designed to do one specific thing. It's basically trick you into clicking something so they can damage your device, so they can force you to pay a ransom to unlock it. But the rest of it all kind of lumps up under malware. Malware is anything designed to cause damage, anything designed to steal information, spyware, whatever. We just kind of run it all up into that one term. There's lots of different ways those get delivered. Compromised websites, right? You go to a website, you think hey, I'm going to check my IC lottery numbers. Well, guess what? That's how my mother-in-law got compromised. She went to the Arizona State Lottery, and the Arizona State Lottery had been compromised. So how do you protect yourself from that? That's tough, right? So there are services that you can sign up for. Cisco runs a product called Umbrella. You can actually change your DNS server to look at Cisco Umbrella for all resolution. And Talos, their backend service, will actually update and block your access to sites they know are compromised by just changing you give an IP address from your ISP. You say, well, I'm going to choose my own DNS server. I'm not going to let Cox tell me where my data is going to go. I'm going to say Umbrella is going to look it up for me. And because that's how I actually found out. I actually looked it up on the Umbrella site and said, oh, the Arizona State Lottery is compromised. Well, the good news is we know how you got breached. The bad news is, yeah, we're formatting your computer. AI has done a great job at making some of this a little harder to find, right? In the days, you'd see like something come out, you're like, oh, well, clearly this person doesn't speak English, right? The grammar was wrong, the spelling was wrong. AI, nope. They look like a perfect native speaker. You can't tell anymore. Matter of fact, they can actually take your likeness and a snippet of your voice, and they can make a video of you doing something crazy out of character. Deep fake is the method. Hollywood loves it now. They can take images from old actors from when they were in their 20s, like Star Wars, right? Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
They took pictures of him when he was in his 20s from the scenes and things like that, and they just put him into that Mandalorian series. And you're like, whoa, how did they do that? He looks like he's still 20. You're like, wow, deep
Yeah,
fake.
brought Peter Cushing back from the grave for one of those Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
That guy was a lookalike.
Was he?
Yeah. Well, Peter Cushing, yeah, that guy was a lookalike. But yeah, they have done a bit, and it's just going to get even more creative, more clever, and it's going to be impossible for us to tell. So at this point, just because you see it doesn't mean you can believe it.
And now Dolly's not injured, Dolly's not dying. They keep putting stuff about Dolly Parton. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with Dolly
Yeah. So you can't believe what you see or hear anymore. You're just like, well, is it true? You know, if it's highly out of character, it's probably not true. All right. So we're just talking about deep fake and impersonations. They can fake your voices. They can fake videos. They can fake text messages and voice messages and things like that from your boss. You get a voice message on your phone. Your boss says, "Hey, I'm stuck in Mexico. They're not letting me across the border. I forgot my passport, but I found a guard over here that for $500 worth of Google gift card, he will let me go through the border." Okay, so then you go out and buy a $500 Google whatever card or eBay gift card, and well, you get back and your boss is, What, you go to Mexico? How was Mexico? I didn't go to Mexico. You're like, wait, I got your voicemail.
To Idaho.
Yeah. So, you know, you have to have some method to kind of verify it, right? You got a text message, call them. It's harder to steal somebody's phone number. Not impossible, but it's harder to steal somebody's phone number. So I would, you know, give them a call. If they don't answer, you know, leave a message, whatever. But definitely don't fall for that. You got 30 minutes. Yeah, that's probably big. Another source of vulnerability is public Wi-Fi. You go to Starbucks, you go to McDonald's, you go to all these websites or these services, and they provide you free web service. There's no encryption, there's no privacy, and everything on that subnet is probably exposed to everything else. So if you're not using any encryption, it's wireless, right? Works the same way I'm speaking now. If I'm not copying in code, everybody in the room is listening to what I'm saying. They can see it. They can just pull the bits off of the air and they can see it. If they can get you to click on a service, right? If they compromise the public Wi-Fi in a fashion and they come in and they spoof it, they've got their own little wireless service. They call it the same thing. They convince you to connect to theirs instead of the McDonald's or the, and then they say, oh, well, you need a certificate. You're like, oh, okay, I'll take the certificate. Now when you go to the bank on that website or that public internet service, they've got your banking information because they're decrypting it because you just installed the certificate that they need to unencrypt your data. So public Wi-Fi, probably not a good thing.
If we're at McDonald's on public Wi-Fi, but we're using Campus and the dual security thing, does that make it okay?
Maybe not.
Oh crap.
VPN.
I mean, the SSL is, we do have SSL and we do have Duo to authenticate against the website, but that does not prevent the eavesdropping. What prevents the eavesdropping is encrypting the data. So you build a tunnel like NordVPN or something like that. Now that tunnel, all the data that would leave your computer gets encrypted before it goes out across the wireless network. So now they can't see it. So that's why you see all those prevent spoofing, things like that. The NordVPNs and that's what that service is for. Very handy. Some of them aren't too bad. There's some lesser expensive versions out there. Password length. We hate long passwords. The problem is, it's a necessity. I did see that Microsoft is finally abandoning NTLM. After it's been compromised, since 2006, 2007?
Yep.
Because NTLM would take a long password and turn it into 7 password chunks. So you'd have if you had a 12-digit password, it said here's 7 and then here's 5. It broke it up and stored it in 2 separate pieces because it couldn't handle anything over 7. And it's like, why are we still using this, right? Backwards compatibility to 2003, 2008, those different servers. Kind of a pain. But they are finally getting rid of it because it's not used on anything. So there's no backwards compatibility to 2008. Everything's got to be 2012 and higher. But not get too technical there. Password length is important. The longer the password, right, the more complex that is. So if there's an 8-digit password, our AI computers can crack that's my son. He's the minions. They get a password. Today's supercomputers can crack an 8-digit password, no matter how complex, in just a matter of minutes. If it hasn't already been compromised already and stored somewhere in somebody's tables, right? So you start adding complexity, and it's exponential in time. But anything under probably 14 digits now is considered weak. So your password should be at least 15 digits long because they can be compromised. Those things should include uppercase, lowercase, numeric values, and special characters, punctuation when available. There's a lot of sites that won't allow for it.
And they won't allow you to do 2 digits at the same time. Or, yeah, that's annoying. Because that's the other
Yeah, there's lots of different rules to help make sure that people are using strong passwords. and you'll get some hints from, you try to change your password at the district office. One sec.
Yep.
Is this an emergency? Okay, I'll call you back in 20 minutes, okay? Bye, thanks. Kids. He's probably on campus. So we need to keep the passwords kind of long, keep them complex, and work within the constraints of whatever the system is that's doing it. I've got some systems that won't let a password be longer than 12 digits. Legacy, but it happens. Password managers, Passware, KeyPass, things like that. Again, makes things easier. Avoid the sites that do random passwords for you, because they know your IP address, things like that. They can kind of backtrack where you are, what you are, maybe do some identity management. But they can, every password they generate for you is probably being stored. So, you mentioned Duo. We have a Duo. There's still ways around getting around Duo. And at the end of the semester, the district is going to kill 2 of them. They were going to do it, next month?
Yep.
But we convinced them that they had to wait for after finals. We didn't want all the students going, wait. I don't have the app, and I can't get a text message, so I can't take my final? That's true. So after the finals are done, they're going to take away text messaging. And so, because different apps and things like that can steal that data, right? So, clones and things like that, they've actually got your text and the little things.
So we're gonna get a phone call with the number then?
No, you'll have to install the Duo app.
Okay.
And if you can't install the Duo app, you'll have to actually get from the district a dongle that'll have a random pin that's generated every 60 seconds.
Oh, be darned.
That's the way we used to do it. RSA came up with those pins way back in the day. But
You'll get a message on the Duo app.
Okay.
and you-
Duo will push it out, and the Duo push method, or the MFA push, is a little more secure because the app is installed on one device, and it can't be installed and duplicated on multiple devices as easy. They have to clone your whole phone,
Yep.
and that's not impossible.
Kind of like the encrypted garage door openers. They're all the same thing, but
Yeah.
one doesn't work on the others.
Yes. So the push will be pretty much the only way, or the RSA style pin generator that changes every minute. Covers MFA, pretty simple. All right. We briefly talked about phishing and what it is. How do we spot phishing? What is unique about it? And how do you know if you're being spear-phished?
What's that mean?
So spear fishing, right? Like fishing, they just, the attacker's just throwing a hook into the ocean and they're just reeling something in. Spear fishing, you're targeted.
Okay.
They're coming right after you specifically. They know something about you and they're trying to trick you. It is a targeted attempt. And they'll use like your personal email address, or they'll use your because the company email address, they just get that from somebody. But they say, okay, well, we know you, we know your name, we know your email address, and we know that you go bowling every Wednesday night. And there's a new tournament, and we want you to sign up for this tournament. You're like, okay, well, this is somebody that knows me because I know that bowling. Well, they might not, right? They might have gathered it from social media, Facebook, whatever, right? The more information we put out about ourselves, and the more stuff we surf on our internet, and then we're not very clean as a people when we think everybody's going to be happy and leave us alone. But all that information is gathering and collecting. So they'll use that information to target you to make it seem more credible. So I got an email from my boss about a new project coming up. Not 5 minutes later, I got an email from same boss that said, oh, here's the folder. I clicked on the folder. I was expecting it. Problem was, it was you. You sent that. So I had to go do that training. Because I just hover over the link to make sure that it was from my boss. Because I was expecting it. And I was like, you got me. You got me, because I was totally waiting for this. Because it was like less than 10 minutes. I even texted you.
Yep.
I was like, what? Oh, what is this? Really? You wait until this? Oh, mean. Anyways, look at the links. There'll be something that's not right. It won't come from whatever it is. It'll come from some name that doesn't make sense. It'll be misspelled. There'll be something that's, fishy. And we have that little hook thing. So if you're not sure, just click the little hook, little orange hook on the side of the Gmail, report it. If it is a phishing attempt and it came from KnowBe4,
Yeah.
it will tell you, you got it. If it isn't, then it'll go to the right people and they'll look at it and say, yeah, there's something going on here, and those need to be reported. So, spotting phishing, understanding what it is, and how to report it.
No links, absolutely no links.
Try not to click on links in an email.
I usually go, if, like, say I get an email from my bank, saying I need to click on this link and check on something, I will actually go to my bank website
Yes.
and
Type the bank, take it directly to the URL and type it in manually. Try to avoid emails.
With the app that we download, is it Duo Authenticator mobile?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And you'll link it, and it'll tie back to the Maricopa Community College District.
And
But yeah. We're talking about safe browsing and apps. I mean, is there any such thing as safe browsing anymore?
No. There's safer browsing.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different browsers out there that are, they all claim to say, well, we're going to respect your privacy and things like that. But the reality is, unless you're paying for it, they're making money off of something. They're not just writing code and giving to you for free out of their benevolence, right? They want something. There's different, search engines. I mean, anything, if you logged into Google, anything you type on a search engine, they collect that and keep that forever. You've got a long Google search history, right? It's never going away. Anything that you do on Facebook, everything's, it never goes away. So social media, social media and everything else,
Even when you delete the account?
you delete it, you just don't have access to it. That doesn't mean they don't have access to it. There's no guarantee that when you delete it, they didn't back it up.
Gotcha. Well, I deleted Instagram because I've got a full-time faculty interview coming up. And I was like, delete Instagram, and it's like you can't get a hold of a human. They said it's like up to 90 days before they have to take it off Google searches.
What I've done and what I've seen other people recommend, if you're deleting an account, first go in and change your information. So put in somebody, just a random phone number.
Right.
Don't just say delete it. My
Gotcha.
name is not Steve now, it's Bob. Just
Gotcha.
go from there.
I am Pink Fluffy Bunny, and I reside in a
Good luck to you.
submarine.
New profile picture with a thingy. Yeah, I've got it. That's,
Yeah.
Wish I could have done that.
Nothing to see here. Like Star Wars one, move along. Yep. For our phones, the one big thing is like our cell phones. We're constantly downloading things and trying new things. Great, but the cell phone, Android, Apple, they're not always the best at catching what's good and what's bad, right? They're good at taking things down once it's determined to be malicious. But I mean, TikTok, we found out that TikTok was just completely just stealing data and accessing things that it shouldn't have. And, the government said you can't use it on corporate computers, and, we had to block it on the campus. But it's still available, and it's still collecting data and sending everything that you do off to the owners. So, I guess you can watch the apps, do some research before installing them, using them, and be careful what they have access to. Yeah.
One of the things I do I got a new phone recently, is I went and searched through a private browser the things to turn off on your phone, services like location services, stuff like that, unless you absolutely need it.
Well, watch the things that you're giving the app access to. Right? You'll install an app that says it has access to your contacts, it has access to your phone numbers, it has access to your text messages. You're like, no, this is a video game. This shouldn't have access to anything. It's just there to steal data. It's there to keep tabs on you and hit you at a time when you least expect it.
In Android, apps have access to the data of all the other apps, unless you really go to
Yeah,
heroic
going-
measures and load
Turn
a
stuff
different
on.
operating
See,
system.
Right now, I don't trust this now, like, how do I know that this is really gonna, I mean, cause now it wants my key code and.
Is that the Duo?
Yeah,
There's a registration component that goes with it to verify who you are, so that it won't just let anybody sign up for it and start getting things.
well,
So,
then there you go, start securing your data, LISO, your unbreakable fortress for safeguarding confidential data.
I think
So-
there's a,
So I've just been screwed? Is that the deal? Oh dear.
I think
No?
there's a KB on how to link it up with the college. with
yeah, and
Duo.
you can open up a service ticket with Service Desk.
Okay,
And Service Desk will give you the information and give you like a little screenshot of
gotcha.
how to get Duo working.
Yeah.
They have
And
that.
once it's working, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
very smooth.
Yeah, once it's been synced
this you?
with
Yep.
your account and your device, that never changes until you have to change your device, and then you'll have to re-register.
But do you have to register with your laptop and your,
Well, your laptop, once you've set up Duo, your laptop will already know it, right? Because if you're trying to log into a district resource with your MEID, it knows that those applications are Duo, so it'll send it to the Duo push as long as that MEID is registered in Duo.
I see.
So, system device security, a lot of common sense here. Whatever your operating system is, make sure it's patched. If you're using Windows 10, don't. Windows 11, Windows 10 doesn't get patched anymore, they're pretty much done, right? It's end of service, so it's not getting updates, but it will get security updates until early next year.
You can buy security updates for, I forget how long they extended it.
Well, they have an extended release, but yeah. Anyways, Windows 10 is pretty much done. Older versions of Apple, the Apple OS, also done. Mac OS 10, things like that. Older tablets, older iPhones, same thing. Android will stop getting updates. iOS will stop getting updates after a certain age. Those, and it's usually right after those age out. Then, whatever they're compromised, that's when they turn it on. So it's been compromised for probably weeks, months, maybe a year. And then as soon as they know that they're not gonna get caught, they'll start using it. Because they know that the manufacturer's not gonna fix it. So watch for the end of life. It's like, that's one of our biggest concerns. Cisco will say, this line of router is going end of life on this day, and you're like, okay, I got 6 months to find this much money to replace it. Okay, that's the game. Windows and Apple, they have the ability to encrypt your hard drive. Recommend encrypting the whole drive encryption. That way, if it is stolen, they don't just take the drive out, plug it in. Hey, they just got all your data. Backups, especially if it is encrypted, keep backups of your data. Where you store the backups can be a problem. There are some websites out there that will store large amounts of data for very, very, very little data, or very, very little money, right? Large data, it's like that doesn't match, right? I said, wow, it's too good to be true. For $5 a month, I can store 10 terabytes. That is a red flag. They're just, everything you put in there, yeah, it's backed up, but they didn't tell you that they weren't keeping it. So, the backup services can be a problem as well. See, you came, you got all doom and gloom.
Oh, great.
Public Wi-Fi safety, right? We talked about, public Wi-Fi, the McDonald's stuff. This slide's a little out of order. I probably should have moved it back. Instead of using like public Wi-Fi, use hotspots or VPNs. And don't go to the banks from a public Wi-Fi for sure. Sorry, that slide is way out of order.
You can also activate a hotspot on your phone and connect to that, and that's more secure than going through the public Wi-Fi.
How do you know it's a suspicious QR code?
Well, QR codes, they're my favorite.
Oh, they're stupid.
My advice is don't scan them. Just don't. Because unlike an email address or a URL that you can read, QR code's completely human illegible. You cannot read it as a human. It's just binary data that the browser can see and send. So you have no idea what it's doing. And an example of this was, there was a popular eatery, and they got rid of paper.
That's what I was gonna say, you can't get a menu half the time.
Yep, the menu is not paper anymore. There is no menu, and it's a sit-down restaurant. So, you know, you're like, okay, well, how do I know what you guys have? Oh, well, scan the QR code. Okay. Well, that QR code is not printed into anything. It's a sticker on the table. That's suspicious. Why is it a sticker? This particular restaurant actually abandoned the QR code. They thought it was a great marketing thing because every QR code was unique, right? So they knew what restaurant you were. They knew what table you were at. So they knew it was just a small table, a big table, right? They were collecting information about you, and it was used for their marketing campaigns. So I don't fault the company for doing that. The problem was, it was a sticker on the table. So somebody's like,
Cover that right up.
put their own sticker on there. Oh, well, there's your menu, but put in this, and you put in your information, and send us your email address, and we'll send you a link to get a free meal.
Uh-huh.
You put in the email address, you click the link, oh, you just compromised yourself. You didn't get a free meal, you just got hacked.
Yeah.
Because of a QR code that you couldn't read. And it was clever. And right? You know, and they could take that even further, right? Oh yeah, hey, link it against this. So now you go to your bank and you're doing other things. Now you go, your bank account's empty, and
See?
you're calling an attorney
Don't
because
have
you're
to give your
at dinner.
card behind the bar anymore, just link it to the phone.
Yeah.
Look at him,
And
he's becoming
the-
a criminal.
Yeah. So QR codes. Another big one is like shipping texts or things like that. You'll get a text message that says, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and deliver your delivery," and they'll give you a wrong address. You're like, "That's not my address. Let me click it." And you click it, and you're like, "Okay, let me fix my address." And you put in your real address and things like that, and say, "Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, we'll send you an email to confirm." Then, right back at the same thing. You click the email, you click the link, you just got compromised because of a text message that was cleverly crafted, and you're just like, "Oh, well, you know, I was expecting an Amazon package.
Uh-huh.
Oops." Yeah. Doom and gloom. Sorry.
It's easier once you stop trusting anybody.
Right?
What is it? Be proactively paranoid because it doesn't work in reverse.
Yeah, it doesn't work retroactively.
Retroactively, that's it. Yeah. So, you know, the experts, they say, build your own personal toolkit, right? You know, engage multi-factor, use password managers, be cognizant of the privacy settings in the services that you use, especially social media, right? And there's lots of clever ways that you can use to kind of defeat a lot of these things, but unfortunately, most of these are actually kind of technical, right? If I want to make sure that I'm using something, I want, you know, I'll bring up a VM and I'll run the embedded Edge browser instead of a Windows VM, and I'll do whatever I need to do, and then I'll delete it, right? So that way everything I was doing just is gone. There is no history because the computer was a virtual computer and the browser was part of it. But it's hard to teach people those things, and you know, when to use it, when not to use it, right? We're tied to convenience. We're just like, I don't want to do that. It takes too long. What are they gonna do, right? Yeah, I'm searching up shoes. Oh, that's really cool. Wow, they make a purple Nike. Wow. Right? Then you start following their retro trend, and then you're like, huh? Well, I'm really interested in this. Let me follow this link. Ah, they got me. Oops. Right? Where does that line? We go to TikTok and we're on there for hours. You go to the MSN feeds and you're just like on there for hours and you're like, oh wow, what's this comic called? Oh right, what is that? All right, it's changing colors. Ooh, read that.
ADHD nightmare.
Yes.
I click on them all the time. If the link's blue or if I'm interested, yeah. Boy, you guys, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So, you know, and there's some other things. You know, people thought that for a long time that Macs didn't get viruses. Macs do get viruses. Matter of fact, for a while, Apple had more vulnerabilities on their platform than Microsoft by more than double. So there were more. You're like, Apple vulnerabilities, Microsoft vulnerabilities. Like, whoa, it flipped. Things like that. Let's see. Phones are targets. we're all targets, everything's targets, but if they get your phone, you know, your home computer's great, right? You do some things on your home computer. But if you're not home, how does it know? If they get your phone, they know you're not home. They know more about you. They know where you are, when you go, things like that, from location services. So turning off location services when it's not needed. Don't connect to unknown Bluetooth devices. Don't leave Bluetooth on as discoverable. I avoid using phone as a payment method. I do not have any payment methods on my cell phone. So I'm not tapping my phone and things like that and paying.
Actually, I'm about to start doing that, but only with a virtual credit card. There's a privacy.com is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
The free,
privacy.com, you
yeah,
get
the
your
free
credit
tier.
card, your credit
But
card.
you're not women, you're not on Temu and Amazon having fun. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh
But,
dear.
no, there's some fairly easy, relatively painless habits you can get into that
Yeah.
really, I mean, like you don't have to run faster than the bear, you just have to run faster than the guy next to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of sad, we can't actually do anything against the attackers of the district, but what we do is we try to make our threat harder to compromise so that they'll give up and go after somebody else. So again, we just have to outrun our neighbors, right? Outrun our buddies. And eventually, you know, hopefully we can get by unscathed. So that's pretty much it. There's only 45, 50 minutes.
I've got one addition.
Yeah.
Telemarketers,
Yeah.
robocalls. They wait for you to pick up and say hello. That triggers the robocalling to connect to a human. One of the things they're doing is they'll ask you, "Can you hear me?" And the moment you say yes,
Holy moly.
they have a voice recording, and they can go into other places that need your, you know, your audible authorization to do stuff.
Yeah, they went after my stepfather like that.
Wait 4 seconds. Usually after about 3 seconds, if you say nothing, if you pick up a number you don't realize, say nothing, you don't hear anything, that thing is gonna shut down after 3 seconds and call the next person.
Wow.
Yep.
So, or answer in a foreign language.
I just said bueno.
Mushy mushy? Huh?
Right? Yeah, bueno. And they're like, hello?
Hello, hey.
I was like, hola.
This is Mary calling on recording line.
And if it's a recording, you know, there'll usually be something that kind of indicates, hey, I'm a recording. But for the most part, you know, even if a human comes in, they're like, hi, it's like, you've reached the technical support line. How many direct you call? And they're just like, oh, click. If it's somebody that really wants to talk to me, they say, hey, Josh, wait. I'm like, okay, gotcha. But I would say 95% of my calls are scams.
Yep.
Yeah, and they got my dad, so, which is why he's now a guardian. He's a ward. I'm his guardian now.
I've replied, my mommy's not home. And I can try to get him to call. My mommy's here.